Hi everybody and welcome back to Smart Home Improvement today. Today we thought we'd speak to you about how can you save money on double glazing. Is it doable? Because obviously double glazing companies tend to charge a small fortune nowadays. Okay, I've worked in the double glazing industry for 15, 20 years. Lost track. I'm getting too old. Can't remember how long I've worked in it. It's been so long, to be honest. And we thought we'd talk about it because a lot of people are complaining about, how the government are running, how arguably taxes are being increased. Okay, especially to do with national insurance, the economy's decrease, and I'm not here really to talk about politics or anything. The new tariffs that Donald Trump has launched on business in the UK. So we thought we'd speak about this because the argument is people are going to be concerned about that money. People are going to still want to get, whether it's a new conservatory, a porch, replace a door, get the double glazing replaced, or it might be something completely different. So we thought we'd speak about this today on how can you actually save money on it. Now, some of the things that you can do, and there are ways you can do it, are pretty obvious. Because I remember a few years ago, and this was a classic example, where I went and put a blog up on our Facebook page, and I got absolutely battered by double glazing companies or people that worked for them, specifically salespeople. When I put this blog up saying that you could get double glazing for as little as £300, and they said, no, you can't. It costs a minimum of 700 quid. And this was probably about 3 years ago. Okay. And I would say what companies are liable to work for, but if I go and say that, I'm liable to be sued. So you can make your own assumptions and guess which companies they came from, because they are quite large companies. Okay. Now, the question is, how cheap can you get double glazing for? Well, the reality is, if you're willing to put a bit of legwork in, you can get good deals. Can you get double glazing for as little as 300 quid? Not really now, because like anything, prices go up. Okay, so if you go to a big company, let's say for instance you go to the likes of Anglian or Everest or First Home Improvements, yes, you are going to pay a premium. Okay, part of that is, but they're going to give you a whopping great big warranties on it. You're going to be looking at a 10-year warranty, if not longer. Okay, and historically, you're going to know that company is going to be around for a long time. So if you have a problem with your double glazing, you can go back to them. Okay, and they're going to resolve that problem. I'll give you a classic example of that. When I used to work on the doors, and I used to be a door canvasser, I remember going to work in one part of Portsmouth, and the person I was working with on the day and said, can you go and knock on that door, please? And I said, why? And he said, well, when I was at Safe Style, we went and did their windows, and the installers messed it up because they measured the windows incorrectly. So on the day that they had a barbecue that day, all the smoke started going into the house, and everybody thought, why is there smoke in the house? Because what had happened was the windows were too small. The installers didn't realise what they had done. Okay. And the smoke ended up going inside. Now, the good thing is, SafeStyle did come out and they sorted it out. Now, the argument is that some people may say small companies may not be around forever, where the big companies, like for instance, your Anglians, you're going to expect it. Now, anything can happen. Take a look at Debenhams, take a look at Woolworths. Lots of companies like that have gone out of business. Okay, so the reality is, if you do go for a bigger company, you normally, it's not always the case, but you normally expect to pay a premium because you're going to get the warranties and you're going to get everything else with it. Now, so you can go, if you want to go dirt cheap and save money, or you just want to get a decent deal, you can go to your local installers. Doesn't mean that they will be cheaper, but you should generally expect them to be that bit cheaper. You expect that better customer service and all those bits and pieces. So that's number one, the first thing that you can do. The second thing that you can do is haggle with them. Don't be afraid to. I know it's seen as a taboo thing. Okay. And it's seen as more the type of thing that you're going to do in Africa or Asia to haggle. Because the reality is, when a rep for a double glazing company comes out to see you, if their walk away figure's 500 quid, they're not going to say, oh, I know what I do. See that window there that you want to get done? I'll do it for 500 quid. I'm sorry, they're not going to do that. Okay. If their walk away figure's 500 quid, they're looking at trying to flog you it for £700, £800, £900. Okay. That's where their starting figure is going to be, if not more. Because they're looking at their bank balance, because I know it used to be the case. Now, I don't know what sales reps' commissions are nowadays, but when I used to work with those types of companies and deal with them, they used to be on 10% commission. Get a sale over 10 grand, they were on like 15 to 20% commission. So obviously they're going to try and maximize the amount of money that they can earn as humanly possible. That's human nature. Okay. So haggle with them. Don't go and take their first offer. If they go and say, right, £700, your first next thing say, I can't afford 700 quid. How about £600 a window? How about £500 a window? Or even go big, try and be a smart ass. How about £400 a window? Haggle them down like nothing else on this earth. No less than they deserve. Okay. Get the best deal for yourself. Second option, like I've already said, go to the local traders. And if you're not willing, if you don't want to do that, the next best option, and this is how you do really save money. If you're willing to put the time in, you go online and you start shopping around, because I'm telling you, you can get some of the best bargains by still going to double glazing companies. I'm not telling you to go to B&Q or Wicks, which is nothing wrong with that, because you can get good deals on if you go to B&Q and Wicks. Okay, but I did a video last year to prove a point how much you can save. And I measured one of my windows and based it on one of my own windows. Now, I live in housing association, to be honest. Okay, so I don't have to worry about getting them replaced. And I think the cheapest price based on my front window, which is almost the size of a bay window, it's quite a large window, okay, was down to about 300 quid, which is half the price of some of the big companies. Now, if let's say it's 350, we're not put a bit on. Yes, you're going to have to go and get somebody to install it, because that's going to be supply only. But you can go and check a trade. And you can go and get somebody to come out and install the window for you. Okay. And you're going to save yourself hundreds of pounds. So let's say they charge you 150 quid for the day. So you're at 500 quid. They're probably going to try and charge you 700 to 800 quid. You saved yourself £300. All you got to do is put a bit of effort in and do a bit of hunting. Now, the other option, okay, is you can go to companies like, for instance, builder.com. Obviously, like my own websites, I do own Get a Tradesman, Smart Home Improvement people. You can put your details in and we'll get you in contact with tradespeople of whatever type of double glazing companies you want to actually speak to, ones which are verified and good companies. Okay, so that's the other option, and there's lots of companies like that. So that's another option that you can actually do. Okay, so you don't have to pay the big prices at the end of the day. If you don't want to pay them, don't pay them. But there are ways where you're not having to pay these big ticket prices. So you don't have to worry about what's going on in the economy and what all our idiotic, stupid politicians are doing and the silly little games that they're playing at the moment. There are ways that you can save money without having to go dirt cheap, without having to sacrifice the efficiency of, say, it's double glazing, the efficiency of double glazing. So you can reduce any noise pollution, you can reduce heat loss and everything. That is doable to do without having to sacrifice that. So I hope this helps everybody out. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate. Just drop me a comment or drop me a message or something. I will get back to you. Okay. Obviously, if you are new to the channel, if you could please subscribe as well, I would appreciate it. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again a bit later.